Hey y'all, they say people are breaking down. Let me tell you, D Woods just came out and she is telling her story. And we all got to talk about that. I might go live later on today, but you guys can hear it. My voice, I'm still under the weather, but I am trying to fight it through. I came across this video. Y'all have to see this video. It tells about Diddy daughters are breaking down. They are breaking down. You guys know Christmas, the first Christmas without their father, first New Year's without their father. Honey, they are breaking down, okay? They said Diddy, he ain't looking good. He got skinny. He got that stuff in jail. And honey, he is, y'all got to check this video out, okay? Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe here at the Messy Sweet Spot. Check this video out, y'all.
Prison is not going well for Diddy. During his most recent bail appearance, Diddy had lost a ton of weight, and now reports are coming in that Diddy's family has started to distance himself from Diddy too. Rumors of Diddy's alleged sexual relationships with his family have started to float around.
We're waiting to get this hearing started. It was interesting too because this time around, Diddy was brought in first. He was brought in about a couple minutes after 2 p.m. today, and we were all kind of waiting to see. We had heard mumblings that his mom might be in courtroom, that we were waiting for the children, but then nothing happened. But then, in another twist and turn, the children do walk in, but this time it was a lot smaller bunch than it was the last time. So last time you're having all of Diddy's children, except with the exception of Love, who is just a 2-year-old child, so she wasn't at court, but you had all of Diddy's children there except Love. But this time around, you just had Justin Combs and Christian Combs, meaning that there was no Quincy there today. Delilah and Jesse weren't there. Chance wasn't there. And the caretakers of his younger children who aren't of age just yet, they were not present inside the courtroom as well today. But his mom also wasn't in court today. So when Diddy came inside, it was still that standard issued MDC jumpsuit. He's wearing khaki. From that video of, I think that was obtained by Daily Mail back in September, of Diddy playing hacky sack in Central Park, to now he appeared just astonishingly thinner, which you can expect to be inside a federal detention center for a couple months now. A lot different from the luxury lifestyle that he was living before, but he appeared very noticeably thinner, and maybe being locked up in detention is starting to wear on him. He appeared grayer a little bit as well too, but again, he appeared just like how you would expect Diddy to appear for a hearing.
Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian Combs, were both present during his bail hearing, but the rest of his family was completely absent. Both Justin and Christian Combs are involved in sexual assault lawsuits in connection to Diddy, and there's a good chance they might be joining their dad in prison soon. Ex-music producer Lil Rod filed a lawsuit against Diddy alleging sexual assault back in August. In his lawsuit, Lil Rod claimed that Justin Combs was a regular attendee at Diddy's freak-off parties and was responsible for sourcing underage girls for Diddy.
There are also allegations that Diddy forced these victims to have sex with prostitutes as he touched himself. He called these situations freak-offs, and oftentimes he recorded them. Here's where some of the allegations against his son Justin Combs come in. So all this takes us back to February, when Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod, filed civil suit against Diddy. In his lengthy lawsuit, Lil Rod straight name drops Justin Combs, describing him as someone who solicits prostitutes, underage girls, and sex workers. There's actually a picture of Justin Combs with an allegedly underage girl shown in the lawsuit. Now, in this specific instance, Lil Rod alleges at least one underage girl came to Diddy's home for a listening party. A sex worker was also apparently solicited, and a freak-off ensued. As an aside, this is the same night that Lil Rod alleges Diddy forced him to take a laced shot. He started to feel lightheaded and then woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, naked next to a sex worker. It's important to note Justin Combs is listed as a defendant on this case because, according to Lil Rod, he facilitated Diddy's alleged RICO enterprise. According to court documents, it happened on September 12, 2022, outside Diddy's Chalice Studios. Lil Rod says Diddy, his son Justin, and Justin's friend who went by G were all there when things got heated. Lil Rod says he heard multiple gunshots ring out and later found G on the bathroom floor in the fetal position. Lil Rod says he was bleeding out of his hip and leg area. Lil Rod says he was applying pressure to G's wounds and then asked the crowd to call an ambulance. At that point, both Diddy and Justin Combs disappeared to another part of the studio. Diddy then gave strict instructions to inform the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced Mr. Jones to lie to the police by telling them that G was shot standing outside the studio by a drive-by assailant. So that specific allegation involves Diddy's son Justin, but another allegation and entirely separate civil lawsuit involves his other son Christian, or King Combs. Grace Omar K alleges that Christian Combs sexually assaulted her on a yacht in December 2022, and she says it was facilitated by Diddy.
Imagine using your own son for such disgusting crimes. Diddy has always had a horrifying relationship with his family, and what we're seeing now is only some of what went behind closed doors. Allegedly, Diddy was sexually interested in his mother too, and would discuss her sexually in front of his friends, and even kiss her on the lips. In a recently resurfaced clip from 2022, Diddy can be seen smoking a joint with his mother, and talking about how there should be a strip club centered around her before kissing her on the lips.
My mom's gorgeous. Let me introduce you to my mom. Call Mom Dukes. Hi. She's getting a drip with me. She's hydrating. What's up, Mom?
Everything's good, baby. Have you eaten you?
Yeah.
I love you.
Love you too. Mom, freshly dipped though. I was trying to show you. Yeah, my mom's is single. Mom's is single. I ain't gonna hate on my mom's. She's single. Me and my mom talked about one time doing a dating show with her. She's so picky. She's so picky, they don't stand. But yeah, that'd be the funniest show in the world.
It will be. Especially with you.
I don't even want to get started with you doing that. We're not doing that, cause yeah, my mom's single. Yeah, for real. Mom do know how to have a good time. She ain't sitting in the house playing. You're outside moving and shaking, baby.
That's right.
You come with me to strip club. I don't care. Real. It's my dog. You know, I want to live life. We out here moving and grooving. My mom told me, she just said, keep moving, baby.
That's right.
Keep moving. She
Don't stop.
She could touch the floor with her palms. You know? Flat. Oh. Take pew, pew, pew.
There have even been rumors inside the industry about Diddy's weird relationship with his son, Quincy Combs. Quincy is the biological son of singer Al B. Sure and model Kim Porter. Diddy adopted when Quincy was around 3 years old, and now industry insiders are speaking out. Freddie P., an artist who was allegedly blackballed by Diddy and worked closely with him during his early years, has said that something weird was always up between Diddy and his stepson.
That nickname, Freaky Man. I look at his kids and everything. It's more deeper questions that I be wanting to know. Like, why were you so infatuated with a child that wasn't yours? Were you grooming that little boy? I don't even want to start those conversations because that's not your child. You know what I'm saying? And for you to keep him that close, it's like you kept him that close because he might got your secrets because he's not your child. So if he's not your child and you that type of person with that type of character, you don't mind actually doing it to him when he finally reaches a certain age because he's not yours. And you know in your mind he's not yours. And now you keep him real close to you. You make sure he don't go to his daddy. Why? You make sure he's separated with him and you provide him with everything he wants. Why? You got one of them little Michael Jackson secrets. He got one of them secrets that he can't tell nobody because his legacy, his manhood gonna be, and not only that, his brother no gonna look at him crazy. Only Puffy know, only God and Puffy.
Pussy, right?
I don't know. All I'm gonna say is, I don't know.
I'll be sure, son.
All I'm gonna say is, Who's infatuated with another man's son now? Like that. Like, you guess that seemed like grooming to me.
Allegedly, as a result of Diddy's actions, his sons became just like him, and now they're all involved in lawsuits with Diddy. A lawsuit was recently filed by 26-year-old Grace O'Marque, claiming that Christian Combs groped her and sexually harassed her after drugging her at one of Diddy's yacht parties. Diddy was present at this party and was allegedly handing out spiked drinks to the attendees.
Well, Natasha and Steve, for the first time in his life, Sean Diddy Combs has spent a week behind bars. He's here inside MDC, where he's been since his arrest on Monday night on federal sex trafficking and other charges, to all of which he's pleaded not guilty. There's no VIP section. There is no concierge, only con men, killers, and kingpins. MDC is so bad, federal judges have questioned the harsh conditions for those here awaiting trial. So bad, I was here 2 years ago during a cold spell, reporting on detainees with no heat, pounding on windows for help. There was even a congressional inquiry. But take the word of a former inmate I spoke with who goes by Esco.
It's terrible. Food is terrible. The inmates are terrible. The guards are terrible. The conditions are terrible. It's just terrible.
The inmates that you're surrounded around, just in general, a lot of them are brought up on pretty heavy federal indictments, right? So just in terms of the atmosphere there, it's just certainly one that no one wants to be in.
Combs was placed in a special housing unit and on suicide watch, the standard protocol for high-profile celebrity detainees. The disgraced mogul was denied bail by 2 separate judges. His attorney, Mark Agnifilo, asked the court to transfer him to the federal detention section at the Essex County Jail, but the judge deferred to the Bureau of Prisons. Federal trial attorney Philip Hamilton says lockdown can mean a lot less time to prepare your defense.
In terms of fighting their case, it just makes it all the more difficult, because now in terms of you being able to communicate with your attorney, you are at the realms of just what's going on with respect to the facility. Is it on lockdown? Is the facility letting visitors in?
Detainees on suicide watch wear tearaway paper hospital-style garments and rubber shower shoes. The isolation may be the worst part for Combs. It's being done for his protection in the violence-prone facility. He will have no bunkie.
He's probably not going to have any contact with any other inmates. So for him, it's going to be a little different than for a person like me, where I will go through process and intake, and then they'll assign me a cell, and I'll have a bunkie or cellmate, and I'll be in population.
For him to be able to get out at this point, it just doesn't look good.
Diddy is not cut out for prison and is having a very hard time adjusting. Allegedly, the prison where Diddy is being held has horrible living conditions, and Diddy was even found crying at one point. MDC has a history of violence, and with his celebrity status, Diddy is a target. Pedophiles don't last long in prison anyway.
Hell on earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released. They told the judge the jail he was being sent to is dreadful, dirty, inhuman, and an ongoing tragedy.
How's your dad doing? How's your dad doing?
Family members appeared somber as they arrived at federal court in Manhattan today in another attempt to get out on bail. The judge cited Diddy's history of violent temper and potential intimidation of witnesses as reasons for keeping him behind bars. Diddy's former protege, singer Aubrey O'Day, is celebrating Diddy's downfall today. I feel validated, a win for women all over the world.
Combs has pled not guilty. Those were the only words he uttered in court yesterday.
Details of Diddy's routine while behind bars have also come out, and allegedly, Diddy is being held in protective custody. He is not allowed to go out in Gen Pop at the moment and spends 23 hours under surveillance.
Foreseeable time behind bars look like. He reportedly only gets 1 hour daily of recreation and 3 showers a week. He's served breakfast, lunch, and dinner that is delivered to his cell. But instead of extravagant meals he was once accustomed to, he can expect foods like egg noodles, cereal, chili, peas, and if needed, there are reportedly vegetarian options as well. But if those foods don't work, MDC Brooklyn's commissary list has a list of additional foods and snack items, including a 6-pack of Hershey bars for $7.05, peanut butter for a little more than $3, stuffed chicken with rice for $5.75, plus more options. Diddy was once a staple at New York's biggest fashion event of the year, the Met Gala, and a frequenter of fashion weeks across the globe. Now will be forced to wear clothes not from haute couture, but instead a switch up to essentially sweats. For extra clothes, he can purchase a sweatshirt for a little more than $16, New Balance sneakers for about $55, boxer briefs for a little more than $6, plus a bath towel and washcloth set for about $12. And while confined to a cell for 23 hours a day, which is a huge difference from throwing now infamous parties, to pass the time, Diddy can purchase an MP3 player for a little under $90. But according to reports, he has a spending limit of $160, a huge downgrade from the millions he was seemingly spending prior to his arrest.
Former inmate Harvey Levin says that Diddy's status and his crimes make him an ideal target. Inmates that are locked up for 10 or more years have nothing to lose, and killing Diddy would earn them valuable street cred. Additionally, there have even been reports that the people Diddy was blackmailing have started to order hits on Diddy. It's important to remember that this was the same jail where Epstein was being held, and he didn't end up surviving either.
So breaking news right now, Larry, I am just getting word. People magazine says it's got a source on the inside that tells them that P. Diddy's on suicide watch tonight. Do your sources confer the same information? Are they saying it was possible?
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the SHU have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on suicide watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an overnight guest. When they told his bond hearing, now they checked him into the system, and reality has hit him. And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on suicide watch. Another error that I guess some warden told you this. There are sentenced inmates there. They're called cadre inmates. They don't have to be white collar inmates, but they're doing maintenance on the building. And the problem why there's a lot of violence there, they have housing units. And they're mixing bank robbers, drug dealers, rapists with white collar people. And this is why Diddy, he can't go into a regular housing unit because somebody will take him out for sure. Somebody's gonna get a lot of street credibility out of this. People that are doing substantial time that know they're never getting out, they'll just kill a guy. No questions asked.
You think that they'd suck up to him because he's got a lot of money, and if he ever does get the commissary options, he would be able to help them.
Some people do.
I got to wrap it real quick.
Okay, some people do think that Diddy can help them, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey.
New Jersey, right.
MDC. He's a marshal's inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week, 6 marshals to do it. He's out of luck.
Reports have come in about Diddy's alleged mental state, and according to a source at the MDC, Diddy was found crying, asking to be let out.
According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him. If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, he eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it. This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC. When he first arrived, he was on suicide watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's suicide watch was only temporary, though. He was housed in a special protective unit of the jail after that for the first few weeks of his stay. But Diddy right now is in Gen Pop, meaning general population, the place where majority of the inmates stay. And that's where he apparently had this meltdown.
With so much pressure on Diddy and how he is reacting to it, it makes sense why his lawyers would be worried. Sources close to Diddy have all confirmed that Diddy is not cut out for prison. And if everything continues the way it is right now, Diddy might actually harm himself. Diddy was placed in suicide watch for this exact same reason when he first came into the MDC. Diddy is not a hardened criminal and has always had guards to protect him. Now he's alone, and the same people he was blackmailing are coming after him.
That makes sense. But you knowing Diddy personally, do you think it's possible he might take his life?
It takes a certain individual to prepare himself to do a lot of years in jail. From the lifestyle that he had, I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he'd be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He'd do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bruh. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial. He's suffering the consequence and I don't feel bad for him at all. Because people was trying to talk to him. People was trying to tell him. You couldn't pull him by the coat and let him know anything. You understand? They messed up the game, brother. When he put that shit out with them, money, power, respect, it ain't never been like that. It ain't never been like that. You got your respect in the street that gave you your power, that brought you your money. Totally different thing. He let that money, power, and respect go to his head, but he had it ass backwards. So do I care what happened? Nah. He got enough money to buy his way out of this. So we think.
So when you look at that video of him pacing around and he's looking worried, and you knowing him, do you think it's possible that he might commit suicide?
When you're a narcissist, there's always a possibility because you're suffering. But I don't think that he can see himself in a cage. I don't think he can see himself behind those bars in those type of situations. It's too many real dudes that dislike him. But then again, there's a lot of real dudes that need help. And him being behind bars, He could probably help him.
Diddy's legal team has applied for bail 3 separate times and even compiled a list of stringent measures that Diddy would follow if he was allowed to get out. But Judge Aaron has denied his appeal.
Why is that not a fair outcome?
What he did here is on a magnitude of unlike anybody else you could imagine. A week after those public searches were televised, he gave us his passport. His children gave us his passport. He then paid off the mortgage entirely on his Miami home, $18 million. It's instructive that he's going to have a bail package ready so that if he was arrested, he would have something ready so that he could get out the next day and show the judge he's taking this very seriously, which he is, which is why 12 days ago, Chris, when we thought there's an indictment that may be coming, he flew to New York the very next day. And that's an extraordinary move for a defendant who's been under investigation that he's been aware of for at least 6 months. He has done everything somebody under investigation can do. I can't think of anything else that he could have done. He's fighting, he's innocent, and he's gonna be able to show it.
What do you think about that counter argument? Because his team has said, we're gonna put together the proposed bail package. A $50 million bond, co-signed by him, his mom, his sister, the mother of his oldest daughter, and his 3 adult sons. It's gonna be secured by the equity in his property in Miami, Florida. Home detention, his passport will be surrendered. The government said that's insufficient. They said, look at the charges, look at the weight of the evidence that I just mentioned. They said they have allegations that he and his associates were trying to tamper with witness testimony last year so that they wouldn't cooperate with the government. What do you take away about who has the stronger argument in terms of bail?
Well, I think his counsel has done the best they possibly can. I think bringing him there voluntarily is very smart, starts them out on the right foot. But I think the last thing that you just mentioned, the interfering with witnesses.
That's the allegation, yeah.
Yeah, if that's true, or I should say, if there's real indicia that happened, I think that might tip the scales in favor of not letting him out pending trial, because I think, and you know this, I think judges take an extraordinarily dim view of that, and that might be the factor that tips the scale against him. But I think as far as a tactic,
The chances of Diddy getting bail are now lower than ever, and it looks like he is going to stay behind bars, at least until May 2025. This is because his legal team has now admitted to the existence of the freak-off tapes. Attorney Mark Agnofolio has said that the freak-off tapes provided by one of Diddy's alleged victims show consensual intercourse, and Diddy is innocent.
In their letter, they write, quote, having reviewed these videos, it is now abundantly clear that they confirm Mr. Combs' innocence and that their full exculpatory value cannot be investigated and used unless they are electronically produced. The 9 videos at issue are the so-called freak-off tapes with victim 1 that the government has repeatedly referenced, causing wild speculation in the media. Contrary to what the government has led this court and the public to believe, the so-called freak-offs were private sexual activity between fully consenting adults in a long-term relationship. Like many Americans in the privacy of their own bedrooms, they sometimes filmed their sexual activity. These videos unambiguously show that the person alleged in the indictment to be victim 1 not only consented, but thoroughly enjoyed herself. And we believe, by the way, victim 1 to be Cassandra Ventura. This is Diddy's ex, who first filed that initial sexual assault lawsuit against Combs back in 2023. She was in that infamous surveillance footage that was published by CNN of an incident that happened in a hotel hallway where Combs is beating Ventura just while wearing a towel. It's a very disturbing video. He argues the videos don't show any orgies or celebrities or violence or coercion or threats or manipulation or evidence of anyone being under the influence of drugs, that this is not sex trafficking. Quote, the premise that freak-offs are inherently dangerous shows that the government seeks to police non-conforming sexual activity and that it assumes, despite all evidence to the contrary, that a woman's willing participation must have been coerced. That's interesting because that's something we've long suspected, that the defense is not going to shy away from the term freak-offs. They might accept, yeah, Combs called these freak-offs, but this was entirely consensual. It was all on the up and up. It might be different to you and me, but there's nothing illegal going on here.
If they're really if the government is the government in the Southern District of New York, I can't imagine this is what they're hanging their hat on if it's what the defense describes. It's like one of those things that when you have a weakness in a case, the government has to decide how they're going to use that. My guess is they're going to use it to show that there were sex workers, that these sex workers were paid. I would imagine that they have the sex workers that are in the video to come in and describe what was going on or what happened before they went on tape, whether or not they had drugs or alcohol or anything else, whether or not Cassie had drugs or alcohol, whether or not there was a discussion between Sean Combs and Cassie before the tape started.
Right.
I think that the tape is going to be one portion of it, but the testimony of either the sex workers that were in the video and or Cassie is going to kind of tie it together. That's my guess.
Diddy's fall from grace continues to shock the world as more disturbing details about his life behind bars and his family's involvement come to light. From the mounting lawsuits to his struggles in prison, it seems like Diddy's past is catching up with him in ways no one could have predicted. What do you think about...
Oh, girl, it's sick. This is sick. I want to know, what are your thoughts about this? Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe here at the Messy Sweet Spot. And I'll see y'all on the next upload.